All right, so we're talking about approaching customers today. When it comes to approaching like a new member and approaching a new customer, we're gonna kind of break this down into a couple different steps, just because that's going to be a little bit easier to manage when we're talking about like what you should do first and how you should open up versus like what you're doing when you're trying to like actually close that person on like a membership. So first things first, during your first encounter, always introduce yourself by name. Try to get their name as well. People love their name. It's kind of funny, like that's like a little bit of like psychology coming out right there. By when you use someone's name, you just sound like you are much more formal with them. And so they find it much more approachable, and they think it's very disarming. So that's exactly what we're going for. We want to try to use their name and make sure that like we are being as friendly as possible right out the gate as we're opening up. Always let them know, like, hey, just so you're aware, like, you are there to enrich their experience. If they have any needs, ask you, right? And that again is a way of you endearing yourself to someone. Some of you might remember we have an exercise psychology class. Actually, I guess Thomas, I think you're the only one who's actually been through it, but there's a couple different approaches that you can use to get someone to do something. There's sort of they call it the door in the face method. So door in the face method, or the door in the face technique rather, is basically where you ask someone for something really big at first, knowing that they are going to say no, and then you ask for something small afterwards, right? That isn't necessarily going to apply directly to the beginning of this sales process, but it definitely is something that kind of can come up later, where it's like, maybe you present like a very highly scheduled package with like a lot of training sessions with a very high price tag, and they're like, I'm not sure I can afford that. And then afterwards you're like, okay, well, what if we were to tone that down to maybe 2 sessions a week or something? That's like, that sounds a little bit more reasonable. That's the door in the face method. And then there is also the Benjamin Franklin technique, which is basically where, no, can't find it actually. They call it the Ben Franklin technique. That is actually sort of the reverse of the door in the face technique. This is called the foot in the door technique. Let me try that actually. There we go. So yeah, so the foot in the door technique is a little bit different. That is where you actually ask someone for something small. Can't really find a good graphic for it, but that's fine. You ask for something really, really small, and then someone agrees to do it. And then afterwards, that sort of endears you to them. And so then they are actually more likely to do you a larger favor afterwards. It's a very weird thing. You would think that like if someone doesn't like you, and this is just talking psychology, obviously this isn't directly related to sales, but if you would think that if someone's like annoyed by you or just doesn't get along with you, you would think that like asking them for a favor would make them more annoyed with you, but it actually endears you to them. Because when they do that favor for you, they feel accomplished, they feel good, as long as it's a small favor. It's not like, hey, can you drive me to LAX? That's something that takes 10 hours. That's a big favor. It's like, I will pay an Uber to take you to LAX so that I don't have to. But that's the sort of foot and door technique. You ask for something really, really, really small, and then that actually endears you to this person. That's kind of similar to how we are approaching our potential customers, right? If you can ask them for their name, learn their name, and then repeat it back to them. On 2 fronts, you are doing something to start developing rapport with this client. You are already endearing yourself to them by getting familiar with their name and, learning a little bit about them. And then you are also endearing yourself to them by building a personal connection, with that small little ask of like, what their name is and stuff. So that is the sort of first step, introduction side of things. And it really does start, from the beginning. You want to make sure you are building as much rapport with your clients as possible, right? We'll have rapport down here as a definition, I think. No, I thought it was in here. Rapport, we're going to define that as like the feelings of trust one person has in another individual, right? So we want people to trust us because, I think that sales sometimes gets like a bad rap, because like I am obviously talking about sales technique right now, and that might make it sound as if sales is all about like manipulating psychological, situations to try to get somebody to do something that they don't want to do. Like when we think of sales, we often think of like, used car salesman or jewelry salesman. By the way, I actually sold used cars for a summer. That was the first, that was like one of the only jobs I've ever had that like wasn't in the personal training industry or working for either of my parents' businesses. Hated it. But I definitely like learned a lot there. But a lot of times we think of it as like you're trying to get over on someone else, and that's not what it is, right? Like, if I went through every person on this call right now individually and asked you why you want to become a personal trainer, I would be willing to bet that not all of you are going to just simply say, oh, well, it pays better than, bussing tables, or something simple like that. I think that everybody probably has like a very personal reason behind it. You're like, well, I like to exercise a lot. I want to share that with others. Great. It's a good answer. Or if it's like, and maybe it is money motivated, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. This is an industry that does make a good amount of money, but maybe you're like, well, I want to work with injuries and stuff. Like I want to have, the ability to kind of make someone feel like less achy and less painful, and live a more comfortable life. Cool. Really good reason. Me, the way I got into it, originally I did it for reasons where I was like, what, like I want to be an actor. And so like, it'll be a great way for me to reschedule my appointments because it's appointment based. And I can go to auditions all day. Like, so that's why so many actors are trainers, and that's what I was kind of like focused on. And then I realized I was like, oh, I keep canceling my my auditions to go to my appointments. Clearly, I prioritize that better. And I thought about it, and I started like analyzing and thinking about why. Why do I like, this sort of like second job more than I like, the thing I really kind of moved out here for? And it was like, well, I wanted to make as many people as possible feel really good. And like with having a lot of clients, I can do that. When I start working in group exercise, I can do that. Which is what led me to Biggest Loser. I got really excited about like working with like 80 different people a week. Not 80 new people, but like it was an 80 guest roster. And often we'd switch out at least half of them. And then now I get to teach, and I get to like instill that in you guys, and you guys get to go out and have your training clients and stuff. And so like I feel like I'm making a very positive impact, out there. And so that's like sort of my motivations, right? And so like I'm sure everybody out there has motivations beyond, oh, I think it's a good way to make money, and even if it is, hey, guess what, you're right. And that's really lucky. We're going to talk about like, how we can do that. So here's the thing, right? If we have like these motivations and those are your actual motivations behind like, selling, you don't get to help anyone. You don't get to have that positive impact on the world. You don't get to inspire people if they don't have training sessions, right? Like you don't get to help anybody if they don't have a membership. You don't get to help anyone if they don't have access, if they don't buy your personal training. And that's why we need to be good at sales, because we can't have the positive impact that we want to have if no one's buying it, right? So I think that's like something to also kind of keep in mind here. We are going to use, like I said, we're going to talk about some psychological principles here, but none of it is to manipulate people. None of it is to like, um, get over on someone. It is to make sure that like we have the ability to actually work with them and help them. So now they are saying here in this first little bit here, I don't know that I 100% agree with this. There it is. But it says resist the temptation to educate on the first meeting. I get where they're coming from with this. I actually really do like that, because oftentimes what will happen is a lot of people, the way they work the floor, a technique that I've seen hundreds of people do and it never works, is they'll approach people and they'll say, oh, can I show you how to do that? Or can I show you the right way to do that? Or, can I show you a better way to do that? And they're trying to educate, right? Like they're coming from this like point of education, because it's like, look, I'm an expert. I want to share my expertise with you. But it comes off as, something that they don't, which by the way, you do. But it just comes off like, no, it makes people feel insecure and it makes them feel bad. And that is irrational, but it is how people feel. So whether or not it is right or irrational, it doesn't really matter. You're trying to do what is most effective, and it's unfortunately that's not effective. So in your first interaction, try to just be as pleasant as possible and as non-threatening as you can. Now, once you've built a little bit of rapport, once you've kind of gotten to know that client, you've probably been working on the gym floor, cleaning weights, racking weights, cleaning, little bits here and there, wiping down machines and stuff. If you've been doing all that and you're on the gym floor and you're getting familiar and like working with the people and you're getting to know their names, the next time you encounter someone who is a potential sale, you're in a much better position to sort of present what like this is where you can kind of bring up, it's like, oh, well, what is it you're like working on specifically? And they're like, oh, well, I want to do this and this. And it's like, oh, well, what's really good for that is, and you can kind of lay that out. And they're like, really? It's like, yeah, let's talk about it, because you have a little bit of rapport with them. They trust you, right? You've been very non-threatening. You've been very helpful. All these things are like, oh, this person's like a really good like staple, this is why people, when I'm playing Ultimate and stuff, and I'm playing sports and hanging out after the games and stuff, people are always willing to like ask me questions about personal training. I don't feel like I'm going to be like, well, you should, let's talk about like sign up for some sessions or something. Because I've been very non-threatening about it, but I've also been very helpful when I, answer people's questions and stuff. Now, I also have a personal relationship with these people that I'm playing with, but the same principle applies to like strangers, as long as you are being helpful, friendly, and approachable, you are going to get approached, so once you have enough, once you've already built a little bit of rapport, you're in a much better position to offer assistance. You can actually ask them maybe what it is they're working on, what their goals are. And then you can say, well, why don't we schedule like an actual assessment? It's totally free. It's 1 hour. And here's the thing that might happen in commercial gyms, guys. They might say something like, oh, I already have that. I already had my 1 hour free assessment. I don't know if I have another one. That's fine. Give them another one for free. Like you don't have to, just because you're, just because they only get one associated, that was like an introductory thing for when they first signed up for the gym to get them going. There's no reason you can't, do that again. As long as you are willing to, deal with the fact that like you're not getting paid for that 1 hour. That's fine. As long as you're pretty sure that you're going to be able to turn it into a sales afterwards, spend that hour, guys. A lot of places don't even give you those floor hours anymore. A lot of gyms have been getting rid of floor hours. They'll give you floor hours in the beginning where they'll basically pay you minimum wage to just work the floor, get to know new customers, again, rack the weights, wipe down machines, just walk around and schmooze, because it's prospecting time, But eventually they stop paying for that. They're like, look, you can't have 20 hours of prospecting a week. We expect you to have like clients and stuff. We're only going to give you 5 hours of prospecting pay, and sometimes none. So make sure that you're definitely getting to know people, and try to schedule as many of those assessments as possible, even if you aren't necessarily getting paid for it, because it can be a good way for you to turn that into sessions. And then you can correlate their goals to what you know. NASM is definitely pitching like correlated to the OPT model. I will personally say nobody knows what the freaking OPT model is. So I think you can correlate it in your head. But when we talk about like, oh, then, that you'd be really good in the strength endurance routine, they're gonna be like, I don't know what that means, So what you can say is like, oh, well, what would work really well for that is this repetition range at this intensity for this many sets, per week and stuff. So you're gonna lay it out that way. That's what's gonna be most effective. Now, things you want to avoid, in the beginning, definitely avoid challenging their potential beliefs. Again, you are the expert, which means you are going to know something that they don't. And chances are most people will be wrong. I know that like the classic phrase in retail is like, the customer is always right. The customer is often wrong. Otherwise, they wouldn't be coming to us for our expertise. However, you want to treat them as if they are right, so they feel good about themselves. So when you're approaching people, you do want to make sure that you are avoiding challenging their beliefs too much. You don't want to come off as being like overly judgmental. So saying things like, honestly, actually, may I make a suggestion? I actually think that's fairly okay. But let me show you the right way to do that. Oof, yeah, no, don't. That sentence is that's going to turn someone off real quick. Or, like, what's your goal with that exercise? Like, you're like prying in. Let me show you the right way. Can I show you a different technique? Can I recommend a better way of doing that? There's just different ways that you kind of want to relay that information. Here's here's the thing. People are going to do really silly stuff, and you're going to be like, oh, hey, let me help you with so you don't tear your rotator cuff off, like, you just don't want to come off that way. So like, approaching them and getting them motivated in really positive ways. I actually like, may I make a suggestion? Although it can come off as a little bit smarmy. Instead, you really just want to try to ask them as many questions that are open-ended as possible, which will help you get a very clear idea, and then you can tie that into conversation. So avoid these kind of things. And then something you want to actively try to do as much as possible is ask open-ended questions. By the way, this is going to be a big part of your guys' like homework stuff. They're going to ask you like, what is an open-ended question? They're going to ask you for examples and stuff. So open-ended questions, guys, are the types of questions that get someone talking afterwards. So I'll give you an example of not an open-ended question. Mir, question for you.
Yeah.
You like Spider-Man?
Yeah, he's cool. I like Wolverine better though.
Oh, hey, you know what? That actually wasn't bad. He expounded. I mean, this is probably just because you're very comfortable and we have a professional relationship and stuff, but like, you're very open and you were able to kind of keep going. When I asked if you like Spider-Man, you could have just been like, yeah, it's fine. Like, that's like, cool. That's all right, conversation's not exactly starting, but if I said something like, so who's your favorite superhero? Sounds like Wolverine's the guy.
Silver Surfer.
Oh, Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Little is it
Norrin
Rad, is that his name?
I don't know his real name, bro. I think he's just cool, bro. He just surfs through space.
That's awesome.
I like anything from space, really.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, now it's like, okay, so now we have a little bit of a more expanded answer where we can sort of engage in conversation, right? Like, luckily I know who Silver Surfer is. It's kind of a deep cut, but like, it's like, oh, well, they're working on making that Fantastic Four movie, and that'll probably introduce him and stuff, so that'll be kind of fun. I think they're also working on a Galactus movie. I'm not mistaken. Are they? Hold on. Maybe not, but they're kind of setting it up, you know. So anyway, it's an open-ended question that's going to get someone talking, right? That's really what you want to do. You don't want to ask someone, you know, oh, are you enjoying your experience? Yeah, you don't want to ask anything that can be answered in a yes or no question. Same thing is true, by the way, like this open-ended question thing, this totally applies to when we're trying to help our clients as well. When we've already got someone signed up, they're working with us, we're trying to coach them and we're trying to like figure out what their true motivations are. This is why we do open-ended questions. You guys remember when we were talking about fitness assessments, I said, look, don't just give them the PAR-Q, don't just give them the general medical / history questionnaire, you know, ask them those questions so you can fill that out. It's going to get them talking and get them familiar, you know. So definitely ask open-ended questions because that's going to help your client actually like open up. And the real key to that, the real reason you're doing that is it is going to help you understand what their true motivations are. So a lot of times, like, you know, you'll hear people say, or you'll ask someone, it's like, hey, you know, why are you here? What's important to you? And I'm like, I'm, you know, here to lose a couple pounds. And it's like, okay, cool. Like maybe, you know, maybe they're like, why do you want to like lose a couple pounds? It's like, oh, well, you know, I want to lose a couple pounds because like, you know, I was trying to play pickup basketball the other day and I just didn't have any endurance. And I felt like, you know, I just felt like I was really winded. So if I was a little, you know, I think that like, you know, coming to the gym can kind of help with that. And it's like, huh. I mean, there are plenty of people who, you know, might weigh a lot who are successful basketball players, you know, like you don't have to be light to be good at basketball necessarily. But it sounds to me like what this person's actually motivated by is by increasing their athleticism, you know. And so in their brain, it's as simple as losing weight. Whereas like we as like, you know, as actual trainers know that like, well, you know, weight doesn't always translate directly to athleticism. What you need to do is you need to work on your endurance and strength and power, rate of force production, stabilization, you know, all those things that make like a high level athlete. And that's fine. You know, you don't have to regurgitate that right away. You know, you don't have to like reiterate that. You have to lay that out right in front of them and say, oh, well, you don't need to lose weight. What you need is this. You have to do that. But now, by asking the question, you have a very clear idea of what they're actually motivated by. So questions like why, you know, why do you want to lose 20 pounds? Way more effective than a simple question of like, you know, are you here for weight loss? And it's like, yes or no, right? They're never gonna, you know, that's not gonna help you get the conversation going. But like getting out the why and finding the true motivations. I mean, Miri, you kind of already told me, you said you like anything from space, but if I was like, why is Silver Surfer your favorite? You know, it would be a reason, it would give you a reason to start talking.
Oh yeah.
But
that's just like, in Marvel, bro. That's just in Marvel.
Oh yeah, who's your favorite, like, you know, overall?
Goku.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Love that.
In context.
Have you watched Dragon Ball Z Abridged?
Yeah. Yeah, bro, of course.
That's like my favorite series on the internet. I've watched that whole thing like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
I love it so much.
They did a good job on that.
They really did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like it was like they had the my girlfriend loves the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And we were watching it. We got up at like 6 so we could watch it live because she loves it so much. And made hot cocoa and, you know, just hung out and stuff. And they had little baby Yoda. They had like a baby Yoda float, and then right afterwards was Goku. And I was like, oh, this is the nerdy section of the float. Like, it was like, you know, like it was like kid stuff, and then like some classics, and then just like 2 super nerd items.
So they did Grogu and then Goku?
Yeah, they did Grogu and then Goku. Yeah.
Maybe they did it alphabetically.
Can you imagine? That would actually be, oh man.
No, but Goku will go first. But yeah, he's from space too.
Yeah, right? But yeah, so anyway, So even right there, I mean, you guys can even see like kind of in person, that wasn't even on purpose, but you can see how easy it is to get talking once you ask the right type of questions. Because you're like, oh man, that makes me think of this. And then you're like, you know, I feel like I'm giving like dating advice right now as well. Because I sometimes think of this stuff when I've been on dates where I'm just like, how do I keep this conversation going? You know, how do I be as approachable and likable as possible? But it does work, you know, like that's we're just trying to talk about building rapport, you know. So we're doing really good things so far, right? Like we're introducing ourselves, and after we've sort of introduced ourselves, we've gotten to know somebody. Now we're starting to like correlate directly and get into, you know, specifically what's good for them, right? Like it's almost like you're like, I'm a great personal trainer in general. Then once people believe that, you know, which they should do very quickly, it's like you start approaching them, it's like, here's why I'm the greatest personal trainer for you, you know, and then it's like we're getting very specific about things. Once it's very specific, we can talk about like what to do and what to avoid. You know, like I said, don't come off as judgmental. Try to ask open-ended questions. The next thing you need to do is create as much value as possible into what it is you are trying to sell or what you are presenting. So like, again, I said this yesterday, every sale that's ever been made, you know, throughout history was because there was more value in purchasing or buying something than there was in not. You know, that's the key here. As long as there is enough value built into whatever it is you are trying to sell, you're willing to do it. You guys you remember that video we watched just a couple days ago with the people who looked at the different gyms. And like the one guy was like, I don't know, I kind of like this gym here that was really green. And it was only like $40 a month for a gym membership, you know. That was really good. They had a lot of really fun stuff, and they love the idea of like giving back to the environment. But then they asked the other two people, they're like, what's your favorite? And it's like that $10,000 a year price point seems so outside of the realm of possibility for me, you know, like I don't have 10 grand to spend on a gym membership, you know. And I look at those people in that video and I was like, man, how can they afford that, you know? But they were like, both of them were like, you know, I started thinking about my health and stuff, and like, you know, if I'm going to spend 10 grand a year on like medical bills and stuff, I don't want to be doing that. So like they had this like they were like, this is why I want to do it, you know. And it's like they had very big reasons, and it was like because it had everything. It was like a customized blood panel. It was like, you know, focused on doing all this like special recovery stuff. They had so much stuff. There was so much value in the 10 grand that even at that price point, those people felt that it was worth it. Me personally, I don't know. But that's just me. That's because everybody's going to have different values. You know, what's important to you is going to be different. Some people love Equinox. They see like the value in belonging to that kind of club. You know, you walk in, you get the cucumber eucalyptus towels and the little refrigerator. You can grab and put it around your neck because you're hot. You know, like they got all kinds of like special nonsense, you know, that all the bells and whistles. That's valuable to some people. That's what people want. They're like, I want to work out. I want to have the benefits of working out, but I don't want to feel like I'm working out. And to me, that's crazy. I'm like, I don't know, that's not fun. For me, I like the idea of like somewhere, you know, what's valuable to me, I'm willing to pay a little bit more, drive a little bit further. What's valuable is like, can I get a very functional workout? Is there an area where I can, you know, really hit like heavy weights, do barbell work and stuff like that, while also working on like the athletic side of things, you know? That's what I value. I'm sure you guys all have different things that you value. Some people are like, I value the convenience of training in my home. So like I could pay $30, you know, have a gym membership, or I could hire a trainer to come to my house, spend $200, you know, a month on this, just to do a little bit of like coaching here and there, but it's out of the convenience of my own home. That's a lot more money, but it's a lot more worth it to them. So everybody's going to have different values. You're never going to know what they are right out of the gate. But as long as you can like create as much value as you have possible, you are going to get plenty of sales. You are going to have plenty of people who want to sign up with you. So the perceived value has to outweigh the cost, right? That can be price. And by the way, when I say cost, I don't just mean money, but it can be price for sure. That's probably the first one that we think of, but sometimes it can be time and effort as well. Like, here's the thing. I love Trader Joe's. That's my favorite grocery store because I think that the prices are really, really great. And I love the products that they have. But if there was only one Trader Joe's near me, the one on Riverside at like Hazeltine, if that was the only Trader Joe's in the area, I don't think I would shop there regularly, because I hate that parking lot. I will murder someone if I have to go there. Eventually, like, I'll be good for 6 months or so, but then eventually it's like someone dies today. Like, I will lose it eventually. Lucky for me. And also the one on Laurel Canyon, that one's even worse. The one on Laurel Canyon in Ventura, hate that one too. Because the parking there is, you're dealing with, they got a GNC and a Mendocino Farms, and they got all the hair salons and stuff. There's all that, they all share a parking lot. So it's like there's already a Trader Joe's, which is the worst, plus all that other stuff. But then, lucky for me, they opened up one over on Laurel Canyon at Victory. And that one has a huge parking garage that is very easy to get into and out of. So I am absolutely willing to, deal with the extra time that it takes to drive a little bit further in order, that little bit of extra effort is totally worth it to me because I do love Trader Joe's, that's my favorite grocery store. And then I also have, actually, speaking of grocery, this is weird, but like, I also have like my favorite brand of like milk for my coffee and stuff. I love this stuff. It's called Fairlife. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I get that chocolate milk all the time.
Yeah. So it's higher. What's that?
I have one right now. I have a brand new one.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love this stuff because it's higher in protein. It's 13 grams versus like 8 or 9 than regular milk. And then instead of like 13 grams of sugar, it only has like 6 grams of sugar. So it's half as much sugar and more protein. Same fat content's identical and stuff, but like they also sell like a DHA omega-3 version, so you can get a little bit of omega-3s in there, which is a very important part of your diet. So I see that and I'm like all about it and I love it. Unfortunately, I don't sell it at Trader Joe's, so every week when I go grocery shopping, I go to Trader Joe's and then I zip across to this one specific Ralph's that carries the DHA Fairlife. Most grocery stores have Fairlife, but the DHA one is the one I like the most. So like, I'm willing to do a little bit of extra driving because the value of like, it's like, man, I don't like, I don't eat fish every single day, so I need a couple omega-3s maybe from something like this. It's a good place for me. So again, the value is built in. I see the value in that. You guys might think I'm crazy, and that's fine, because what's valuable to you is maybe a little bit different. Actually, you know what, Edwin, here's another really good one. This is a good example for you. I know that you're like a big snowboarder. I love snowboarding, but like my friend was like, do you want to get the Icon Pass? And I was like, man, I do not want to drop $800 for the Icon Pass because I know I'm going to be too busy to use it. If I bought something like that, I would go literally every weekend. I would go as often as possible, but I know I just don't have time to do that this year. So the value is not there currently.
I had a friend who bought it and he went 2 days in the season. He was beating himself.
He went 2 days after buying it, and that was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that is actually heartbreaking. That bothers me. That makes me really sad. But yeah, that's the thing, man, there's part of me that's like, because what do? How do you bring the Icon Pass? You bring your ID?
Yeah, it's just a pass, yeah.
But I mean, like, they're checking your ID and stuff, right? To make sure that, like, you're actually here.
The pass has a picture of you, and when they scan it, they can see your picture too.
Oh, it is a picture of you. Oh, that's even better.
Pretty much what Brad was asking is if he could borrow your friend's pass.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, if I went in with my friends and then like you just get like a fake ID, like with a name that all of you share. Like,
I mean, honestly, with this whole COVID stuff, like you could use anybody's pass because you could be wearing a mask, you could be wearing a ski mask, and they won't even ask you to pull it down like they used to.
That's funny.
There you go.
They did. I was surprised actually. I was kind of shocked when I flew to New York and flew back. It makes perfect sense because the freaking airlines, it's all about like safety and stuff, but they do make you pull your mask down for a second when they're checking your ID. And I was like, well, I've never seen somebody do that. And I was like, I'm kind of surprised that people don't do that other places. Anyway, so you just have to have enough, you have to have enough value built into what you are selling. Here's what's great though, guys. You know, you've got so many ways to overcome people's like objections with value. You know, like obviously price is one that's going to be set by whatever gym you're training at, but often there are packages and stuff. And as long as you are like worth it, you know, if someone's like, well, training with you is going to be worth it because like I can see the value in it, then they're going to be willing to pay any price that you want. Or time and effort. Someone's like, I just don't have time to work out. And it's like, well, what do you have time for? You know, what is it that's taking up all of your time? Because like you're working what, 8 hours a day, you know, 40 hours a week. A lot of people have 40-hour-week jobs. So like break it down for me. What is it that you know, what is it that's taking up your time and stuff that's preventing you from being able to do this? You know, and it's like, well, you know, it's like I stay up late and then like I can't go in the morning because I like to stay up late. And it's like, well, how much do you like to stay up late? You know, like maybe you can commit to working out before work and find time there, you know. Everybody's gonna be a little bit different there, but that's why I like working out in the morning. Or maybe just commitment. People are sometimes just really cagey about like signing up for contracts and stuff. Doesn't really matter as long as you are displaying as much value as possible, just relentlessly laying it out. Like, look, I'm going to be here to help with your schedule. If you're worried about waking up in the mornings, I'm going to be texting you. You will get up, you know, like we are going to turn you into a morning person. And they're like, all right, let's go. You know, like, it's like, if you're afraid of like, you know, maybe not reaching your goals, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the personalized attention. If you're worried about like the amount of time, we're going to work super efficient. I'll come to you, you know. We'll find a way to make it work. As long as there's value built into it, people will buy it. So last little bit, you got to ask for the actual sale. So when it comes to asking for the sale here, again, you are not doing this through manipulation. You are doing this through professionalism, right? You don't get to help anyone meet their goals if they don't have training sessions, you know? And that's why we're here to ask for the sale, you know? This is a sentence that, so professionals who are not fanatical about sales, and I know that like, what they're saying here is like a lot of people are not passionate about sales. They're passionate about like working with people. You know, I felt that way too. Like that's why I worked at LA Fitness at first. You know, I went to LA Fitness because I knew it didn't have to do any sales. You just are a trainer. The training manager puts, you know, sessions with you and they take care of it and stuff. And that was really appealing to me when I was 18, you know. But once I was like, you know, be like, oh, well, you know, I want to make more money. I want to work with more people. And also I'm tired of answering to my training manager because LA Fitness is the worst for that. You know, that's where I was like, okay, well, now I need to learn how to do like actual sales technique and stuff. So I got really passionate about the selling side of things because I realized it was what was preventing me from being able to like actually work with people. So I used to work for this place, Stafford Hills. It was like a country club. And the owner's son was sort of taking over the business. And he was really fanatical about sales. He was like, he went to business school and like, you know, he was out of college and just got into like the sale. Glenn Ross kind of situation, you know, like those guys on Wall Street trying to sell as much stuff as possible. Wolf of Wall Street situation, you know, like I'm sure that is like his favorite movie now that it's out, you know, like it wasn't around at the time when I used to work there, but guaranteed that's this guy Evan's favorite movie because he loves sales. And so this is up in Portland. There's this like sales conference. This guy's coming to Portland at the, you know, Hilton or whatever. And my boss calls a team meeting and he's like, hey, everybody, we're going to go to this thing on Sunday. Make sure you don't have any appointments. And we were like, what is this thing? And it was a sales conference. And I was like, oh man, I do not want to go to a sales conference. Like, I don't want to hear some car salesman tell me all the amazing techniques to, you know, to freaking manipulate people. But I was like, whatever, you know, I had to go. I was the new guy anyways, so I was definitely going to go. But let's go to this thing, and we're going. He's going around the room. And he's asking people a bunch of stuff and getting people motivated. He's kind of a motivational speaker type. And he then goes, all right, what does everybody sell? He's like, let's get a couple examples here. He's like, sir, what do you sell? And they're like, oh, yeah, I sell cars. He's like, sir, what do you sell? And it's like, I sell medical equipment. And it's like, what do you sell? Personal training, maybe. But it comes this one guy and he goes, what do you sell? And that guy goes, I sell safety. I sell safety, which is a very weird answer, you know. It's like you sell the concept of safety, you know. And it totally threw the guy running this whole presentation off. He was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I work for a car dealership, but a couple of years ago, my wife and I were in a really bad accident and we were lucky enough to survive, you know, injury free and stuff for the most part. And it was all thanks to all the safety features in that car. And, you know, I was already a car salesman before that, but like that motivated me. And I now, whenever a car comes on, I learn everything there is to know about the airlock, I don't know anything about cars. I learned everything there is to know about the anti-lock brakes, the airbags, the seat belts. I'll learn everything there is to know about this, and this. And so when I'm presenting sales to people, I'm, you know, trying to sell them whatever car I think is going to keep them safest, because that's what's important to me. And I loved hearing that guy talk. I was like, that is more, I learned more from that guy in the audience than I did from the rest of that whole dumb freaking conference thing. I learned way more from that guy. I was like, that's a great perspective to have. You know, what do we sell, guys? You know, we sell increased performance, we sell increased health, self-esteem, quality of life, right? Those are all of the things that we are selling. You should be fanatical about being able to present those things. Whatever it is you're passionate about, guys, that's what you are here to sell. And you got to make a living doing it, which means, you know, we need to charge a certain amount for it. And so you don't get to do any of that until they have training sessions. Until you have successfully sold someone, you're not going, you know, you don't get to like have that positive impact on people. You know, that guy wouldn't get to make the world a little bit of a safer place if he doesn't sell someone whatever car he is trying to sell them, you know? So that's kind of weird because car salesmen are usually, you know, considered like the dirtiest out there. Actually, I take that back. Jewelry salesmen. There is no more corrupt industry out there than the freaking jewelry industry. But but cars are definitely a thing. But I loved it. I learned more from that guy. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. And that's probably just me, you know, painting things my own way. But that is how I see sales. You know, I'm fanatical about being a good salesperson because I'm fanatical about trying to help as many people as possible. So at the very end of this whole thing, now that you've done all that, now that you've talked to the person, you've built rapport, you've created enough value, and it's time to actually ask for the sale, most sales, I'd say 90% of them, are lost because they are not asked for. So there is actually a little book that we tried to incorporate into the curriculum for a little while. it didn't really fit very well, but we were thinking about having a textbook for this course, for this class. If you guys want to pick it up, you can. It just didn't match very well with the way NASM does things. And so there's a lot of conflicting information. But if you go to Amazon and you find this little book here, little book called Selling Personal Training, little $15 paperback, really, really simple. And it's all about like how to actually do successful sales in the personal training industry. Very, 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 very basic book. Honestly, you could read the entire thing start to finish in a couple hours. But what I do like about it is this guy, the author, worked at Gold's very early on when they were trying to find a way to become, like a chain where there were a lot of them and stuff. And so he was really responsible for creating a lot of their sales principles. And he has a lot of really fun stories in there about activities that they used to do where they would ask for the sale as quickly as possible. So they would do these little role-playing sessions, or they would even do it with like real people, I think, where they would try to ask for the sale as soon as they could in the conversation. And they would literally just be like, all right, well, let's see that credit card, like right off the bat. And it's like, why are you here? And it's like, well, I'm here to lose weight. It's like, I can help you lose weight. Give me your credit card. And it's like, it was as quick as that they were trying to like do it. And it was just an activity. It was just an exercise, it wasn't necessarily meant to get the best results in the world, but it builds the muscles that are going to help you actually ask for the sale. So many trainers, I've seen so many people skirt around actually asking for the freaking sale. I see it all the time. Well, I saw it all the time. Like I said, I'm not in a commercial gym anymore, but so many trainers, and they're like, well, we have this available. That's a really good presentation. Like, we have this available, and show the packages. Sure. That is not you saying, or they might say something like, this one would work for you. This package would fit your schedule. Those are specific and they're tied to the person, but what they are not is, so do we want to sign you up today? That is not asking them for the sale. It's close. It's alluding to it, but it's like the white lie version of selling. It's like, I didn't not say that I was doing this, it's like a little kid. It's like, did you brush your teeth? And it's like, yeah. And then all of a sudden the parent's like, this toothbrush is bone dry. Right? It's like, well, I have brushed my teeth. I did not you did not ask me if I brushed my teeth tonight. It's like you're doing that to yourself in a bad way, like making yourself not make the sale. I stole that joke from John Mulaney, by the way. So most sales are lost because they're not asked for, or there are some other reasons. It could be because there's not enough value built into the sale. Someone just doesn't see the value in it. There could be an insufficient level of rapport. Maybe they just don't trust you that much. That can sometimes happen. So you want to make sure that you are, having a good conversation. You didn't ask for the sale. And then sometimes, guys, yes, talking about it, some people will legitimately not be able to afford it. That will absolutely happen. Even if you are only selling 10% of people, if you talk to 100 people and you only come away with 10 new clients, that's a 10% closing rate. That's not bad. There will be lots of times where you will do everything in your power to make like a successful sale, and it just won't happen. And that's all right. That is part of the game. It's a numbers game. It's again, to use the example again, it's like dating. It's just a numbers game. Like eventually you're gonna find someone. Swipe enough people, eventually you're gonna end up. So that is definitely going to happen sometimes. But here's the thing: we are gonna break down now how to figure out how many people you need to talk to. But before we do, any questions or comments? I've been on a long tear here. Give you guys a second to chime in here. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Comments as well, opinions on, what you think I was saying?
What was that book again?
Selling personal training is what it's called. It's by this guy, Ron Thatcher. He's just a trainer. Actually, I don't even think he's a trainer. I think he's a sales guy. I think he was like a membership sales guy who worked with the training team. Either way, though, it's, you know, it totally applies in both directions. But yeah, it's just called Selling Personal Training. I think it's honestly, it looks like it's an Amazon published book. Like it looks like he just wrote like a little, you know, typed it up on Word and then had somebody else like publish it. It's not like a New York Times bestseller or anything like that, but it is, you know, it's not bad. It's only $15. You can probably get a used one for even cheaper. All right, so next thing we need to do, guys, we need to figure out how you want to meet your desired income. So we got to break this down to determine what your prices are going to be. So when you're developing your prices, right? What do you guys think determines your prices? Mir, I remember last night you said it's like, oh, it's probably the going rate in the area, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, that, and also too, like how do I say this? Depending on like how advanced, you know, you're going to be training these people. If it's just a person that is barely starting, it's going to be a lot easier to train that person rather than somebody that's been working out for a long time and, you know, they just don't look the way they want to look. That's going to be hard, you know, so you could always like adjust to that and other things too, depending on like how you were saying, like where you train, you know, how you go all the way to this place for one thing and this other place. I know a lot of people that they go one gym to like work out their chest and then they go to another gym where's yeah, you know.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
some people have multiple memberships. So yeah, those are all definitely ways you can, you know, determine your prices and stuff for sure. I think that is accurate. NASM is going to have a little bit more of a motivational approach to this. The number one factor in determining how much you are going to charge, the first place where it starts, guys, ask yourself this: how much money do I want to make? What is your desired annual income? You start with that and then work your way backwards until you end up with a session price. So, for example, right, you ask yourself, what's your desired income? Somebody give me how much money they want to make per year. What do you guys think? Mir, how much do you want to make per year?
Well, I'll be realistic. Like, let's say it's 65.
65K. Cool. Love it. 65,000 a year. So that's how much you want to make. So now we have a goal in mind for the year. Cool. Love it. Awesome. Now what we need to do is we need to break down what that means weekly or monthly, right? So that's how much you want to earn every year. Let's break that down and figure out how much that is per week. So there's 52 weeks in a year. Mir, we're going to assume that you want to take 2 weeks paid vacation, you know? So you want to take 2 weeks off every year. So we're going to divide that by 50. Also, it makes our math way easier. So 65,000 divided by 50 weeks. That means you need to earn $1,300 per week.
That's easy. That's easy, bro.
It's not that bad, right? So now $1,300 a week, right? So we take our annual income and we divide it by 50 because there's 52 weeks in a year and we assume for 2 weeks of vacation. So if our desired income was 60,000 divided by 50, that's 1,200 per week. Mir wants to make 65,000, so we're going to say it's 1,300 per week. Now, once we have that, we are going to go on to step 3, and we are going to figure out how many sessions we need to perform in order to meet that. Now, let's say in my example here, my example version, yeah, so 26 and 62, that's why I did that number, right? 26 plus 62. Yeah, 40. Oh, okay. I think this number may have shifted a little bit since I looked at it last time. But Equinox trainers at the low end will make about $26 an hour. And at the high end, they'll make about 62 per hour. It's not bad. You know, so we averaged that out last time I taught this class, and we said that was about $42 an hour. So if somebody wanted to earn 12, they want to earn 50 to 60,000 a year, and that's 1,200 a week, and they need to earn, they're earning $42 every session. That's 29 sessions per week. Okay, so 1,200 divided by 42 is going to be 29. So here's the thing, Mir, maybe you want to work for yourself. So you don't actually have, oh, we lost someone. We lost Edwin. You don't actually have like a set price yet. We're trying to figure out what your prices should be. So let me ask you this. How many hours a week do you want to work?
See, that's the thing that I was thinking about, because you know how it's like mainly hourly. Some people 1 hour is not going to be enough. And then there's going to be other people that they don't really even have 1 hour.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I will say industry standard is definitely the 60-minute session. But yeah, maybe you want to do like extended ones. You can charge more for those, But my question is, how many hours a week do you want to work? Do you want to have a 40-hour week job, like 9 to 5? Like, what do you want your schedule to look like?
Yeah, I guess we'll stick with 40 for now.
40?
Eventually, I want it to be a little bit less.
Sure.
But then again, you don't know. You might have to spend a lot of time with one person. So
yeah. So your numbers are going to be kind of similar to what we've got going on here, because this is a full-time example, right? 29 sessions a week. That's about 30 hours, That's 30 hours a week, unless that 42 is, maybe this is 30-minute sessions, in which case, that's great, by the way. But let's say they're earning, they 29 sessions per week. That assumes that they can make maybe 10 hours of floor time a week, where they're working the floor, an hour a day, or 10 hours a week, right? 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, where they're just walking the gym floor, getting to know members, once in the morning, once at the other time, right? So let's assume, what's up, Edwin? Oh, wait, no, he's not back just yet. Audio, there he is. What's up, Edwin?
Hey, just lost the Wi-Fi, I guess.
Yeah, no sweat. So let's just say you want to work. So we're going to do sort of the reverse of this. We did divided by the price. That gave us the sessions. You want to work 40 hours a week. Let's assume that you're going to take 10 hours of just like paperwork time, writing programs, things like that. So that means that you're going to train 30 hours per week. So we take that $1,300 per week and divide it by 30. You are going to charge about $43, very similar to what we see here, per session. We'll round that up to 44. So if you charge $44 a session, Mir, and you get 30 sessions a week, you're going to be earning $65K a year.
Yeah.
And I will say this is all before taxes. So
yeah.
But still, that's pretty good. What's that?
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah. So two different approaches there, guys. There is if your price is already set where you're working, that's one approach. If you are trying to figure out what your prices should be, that's how you figure it out. You're like, I want to make $100,000 a year, and I only want to work 20 hours a week, right? Divided by 50 weeks, divided by 20, it means you need to charge $100 a session. $100 a session, 20 sessions a week. That would be what is that? 4 sessions a day.
Yeah, 4 people a day.
What's that?
Yeah, like 4 people a day.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And you're pulling in 6 figures,
Yeah.
So next thing you need to do, so now shifting gears away, we're going to kind of go back to more of a gym oriented situation. But again, this could very much apply to you personally as well. Now you need to figure out what your closing percentage is. So your closing percentage, we're going to leave the numbers we just had. We're going to leave those alone for right now. But your closing percentage is the number of people you are talking to versus the number of people who are actually signing up for training. That's your closing percentage. With the percentage of people that you close, remember that scene from Glenn Ross, Coffees for Closes, like he's trying to get people to like close on their sale. Has anybody seen that? Anybody seen Glenn Ross? Oh, wow. That movie is a master class on how to swear, by the way. It's all about like these, white collar business people like selling stuff, and it stars Alec Baldwin, and he's just a monster. Fun movie though. So anyway, you got to figure out what your closing percentage is. So that's the number of people you talk to versus number of people. So let's say you talk to 20 people and 3 of them signed up for personal training, right? So 3 divided by 20, that's going to give you a 15% closing rate, which is great, by the way. Honestly, 10% is pretty good. Talk to 100 people, 10 of them signed up, 10%, So that's your closing percentage. Now that you know your closing percentage, you can give yourself a deadline and figure out when you have to talk to everybody in order, or how many people you have to talk to per day. And NASM's going to get real specific here. I think that they get a little too specific, but now you want to ask yourself, in what time frame do you have? What's your goal? Like when do you want to have that? This guy here, how many it was 29 sessions per week. That's how many this person wants to have. They want 29 sessions. So they had to figure out like what their goal is, right? So set a goal that has a specific end date in mind for you to get that appropriate number of clients. Because what that's going to do is that's going to light a fire under your butt and motivate you to wipe down machines, rack the weights, talk to guests, because if you're like, man, I am not on track to meet my freaking quota and my goal, right? What do I need to do to make sure that this happens? Maybe it means sticking around the gym for an extra hour that you don't get paid for, because you're going to make way more money afterwards, that 50 weeks is going to start, after you've been working the floor, after you get hired, maybe it's not the first week that you worked. Maybe it's a couple weeks after, and that's where you start counting it from, that means you need to make sure you're getting your quotas, right? So give yourself a date, give yourself a specific end date in mind. Set your goal, right? Make sure it's not too far in the future because there's no sense of urgency there, but also make sure that it's not impossible. It's like, I need 29 sessions before tomorrow. Yeah, no, that's very unrealistic. Step 6, you need to figure out how many people you actually need to talk to in order to do that. So now you need to take the desired number of sessions per week. In this case, it was 29 clients, right? And that's by the way, 29 sessions a week. We are assuming today, because math will be easy this way, we are assuming that you can only do 1 session per week with each client. So we're going to say 29 new clients. That is a worst case scenario. So in what time frame, right? So now set a goal with a specific date, and now take the number of clients that you desire and divide it by your closing percentage. So this person wants 29 sessions. They're closing 15% of the time. That means they need to talk to 193 people, right? So let's say you're brand new to this. So let's say you've only got like a 10% closing rate, right? So we wanted to have 30 sessions per week. Divided by 0.1, that means you need to talk to, is that right? Yeah, 300 people per week, or 300 people total. So you need to talk to 300 people, right? Because you only have a 10% closing rate. Not quite as good as the 15%. 300 people sounds like a lot of people to talk to. It really does. But there are thousands of members at the gym. That's why the closing percentages are so low, is because a lot of them already have trainers, or they're just there to use the treadmill or whatever. 300 people sounds like a lot, and it is, but like, you're not trying to get this done this week. You're giving yourself like a deadline, right? Maybe it's like, all right, I'm going to give myself 6 weeks to get that 300 new people, right? So now what you're going to do, and you'll notice I skipped from step 6 straight down to step 9 here. This is where I think NASM gets a little bit too specific here. I think once you have that 300 person goal in mind, you're good, and you can spread that out as you go, probably starts pretty high and then like tapers off a little bit towards the end. And you talk to a lot of people in the beginning, and then less and less and less and less as your schedule fills up, NASM is going to break this down incredibly specifically. So break down the number of members that you need to be interactive with into weekly increments to make that more manageable. So you gave yourself 6 weeks. We had 300 people to talk to, divided by 6. That's 50 people a week. All right, I need to talk to 50 people a week for the next 6 weeks, and I should, with my 10% closing rate, get to my $65,000 a year goal, right? So you've broken that down. Step 7, now you need to figure out how much each day. Maybe you only want to work Monday through Friday, right? That's 5 days a week, 50 people a week, divided by 5, 10 people a day. This is starting to sound not so bad. Did you guys, who, when they saw 300 people, were like, man, that's a lot of people, right? But again, it's over 6 weeks, 10 people a day, you know? This is again where they're going to get very, very, very specific. So now, how many each hour? You know, how many gym floor hours are you working per day? If you're working 8 hours, you only have to talk to 1.25 people an hour. I don't think that that's very efficient. You want 10 people, you know? I think if you can talk to like 5 people an hour, you know, you're working the gym floor for 2 hours a day. That's 5 people an hour, you know? Hang out the front desk, get to know members as they come in, walk around the gym floor, introduce yourself, get to be a staple, get to know people, work out in the gym that you are training in so that people see you and go, wow, I want to work out with that guy, you know? Again, this is why I skipped steps 7 and 8 because I think that it gets a little bit too specific here, but I do like the overall like weekly goal. So now with each hour, you know, you have a way to figure that out and break that down. How many people, right? Step 9, ask each member for their contact info. So now, every time you talk to someone, always try to get their contact info. You know, that's going to allow you to offer assistance later on in case they're just not interested today. And it allows you to, you know, contact them and implement their stuff. Have you guys ever noticed how every freaking website you go to asks you to sign up with your email? Like, there is just no escaping that freaking button. I could go, you know, let's see here. Jeff Nippert, right? He's a very famous YouTuber. If I go to his shop programs, not sure what program is best for you, take a free quiz. Click this here, punch in your information. Just gonna go through this as fast as possible. And it's like, all right, here's your results. And they don't give it to you. You have to sign up for the program, right? Like, they want your email, right? They want to know specifically what your email is. There it is. View now. Get my email, you know? Because if they can get your email, they can send you advertisements related to this, right? They can send you information saying like, hey, like, we're running this special right now. That's why you're trying to get contact info, so you can reach out to someone later, right? So if you got a good level of rapport with someone, it should not be difficult for you to ask for their contact info, you know? And so then once you have that, you can offer to maybe develop an exercise program for them or offer them a free assessment, you know, break it down for them the next time they visit the club and be like, all right, well, tell you what, why don't we put something on the books and see if we can do like a trial session, see what you think. You know, I can show you some stuff. We can meet up next Monday, you know, 8 a.m. There it is, right? We got it all laid out, right? That's the first, that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna try to implement that first point of contact where you're actually meeting with, I've never pulled this off. You're not going to be walking around the gym floor, meet someone, and then they're going to be so inspired that they're just going to sign up for training. You've got to do a free assessment. You've got to do one trial training session, something like that. But those things translate into so many sessions over time when they sign up for training packages, you know? And then step 10, probably the most important part of the whole thing, follow up with your potential client. So within 24 hours, send them an email, send them a thank you note, send them a text message. I think that's weird, but hey, it's 2021. I gotta, be more millennial. But yeah, you're gonna try and put it on the freaking books. Schedule the appointment, guys. Do not ever make the mistake of going, hey, give me a call and we'll set you up for training. Do not make that mistake. Don't give them your card and be like, give me a call and we'll sign you up. They'll never do it. Or, I mean, maybe they will, but like, it won't happen often. Get their information so that you can follow up. You're the motivated one. You work for them, So give them 2 to 3 days, and then give them a phone call just to remind them about the fact that you had a conversation. Maybe it was really, really good. Then once you actually see that person again, you can start, meet up with them and actually implement a few exercises with that. You can walk them through like a fitness assessment, take them back to the desk and write them a program. This is what we're going to practice on Thursday, by the way. I want to show you guys what this looks like. After you're done doing a fitness assessment, sit down and break it down for them. Be like, so here's what we saw. Here's what you want to do. This is the exercise that they're going to help meet both those needs. Then directly ask them if they want to sign up for a training package. You're going to turn it around and present your prices and be like, well, here's the packages we have available. I think this would be a really good fit. Do we want to sign up for this today, or do you want a day to think about it? Present those prices and ask. So when you ask for the sale, 9 out of 10 of them guys are going to say no. But even with a 10% closing ratio, only with 10% of the people you sign up with, we had to talk to 300 people, which sounded like a lot at first, until we saw, well, I could make that happen by only doing 2 hours a day, and talking to 5 people. You can talk to 5 people in 2 hours, right? Pretty sure. The key is just kind of breaking it down and knowing that it's not as daunting as it seems. When we break it down into small chunks, it's much more approachable and manageable. Now, if that client says yes, process that freaking payment as fast as possible. And then schedule their first appointment as fast as possible. Do not make the mistake of going, all right, we got you all signed up. We got a package of 8 sessions here. Why don't you give me a call, go home, check your schedule, give me a call, and we'll get you signed up and put you on the books. Don't do that. That's nonsense. Be like, all right, we got you signed up for training. What's your schedule look like this week? When can we do our first session? What's as early as possible? Can you do tomorrow? Right? You are trying to get them booked and get them going as fast as possible. They just paid a lot of money. Right? They just committed a lot of their time. They just, committed to the idea of being uncomfortable and getting pushed and yelled at. They committed to all these things. We don't want to have them think about all those things, get freaked out and back out, right? So if we can get them turned over into that training session as fast as possible, we're going to keep them motivated and we can actually help them meet their goals earlier than if we're just like, all right, I'll talk to you next week, right? I see trainers do that crap all the time. It drives me crazy. And it's like, they just don't sign someone up because they're maybe they don't know their schedule. That's also why you should be intimately familiar with what your schedule is. So you can fire it out as fast as possible. Send them a thank you card immediately. Confirm that first appointment. That's one thing you always want to do. Call them 24 hours before. I don't necessarily do that, but one thing that I do, you guys can get this. You can get, mine is called Schedule SMS. It's a text scheduling app. And on Sundays, I plug all my appointments in there and I have it set to send them a text message reminder 12 to 18 hours before their training session. And be like, hey, just as a reminder, you got a training session with Brad tomorrow at this time. I don't always do it directly 12 hours because sometimes that makes it fall. I'd say 12 to 18 because sometimes that makes it fall at a weird time. But that always reminds them, the day before. Send them a thank you card if you want to. I've never done that once in my life, but they say it here. Always confirm that appointment. and then congratulate them, be like, congratulations on everything. That's great. Now, if they do say no, if they don't decide to sign up for training, that's fine. Try to remain professional and helpful as possible. Take their contact information as well. Thank them for participating. And then you can reach out to them in a couple of weeks and try again. If that doesn't work, eventually after a while, yeah, they become what we call a cold lead, and a cold lead is like, this probably isn't going to turn into anything, and that's okay. That's where you just keep that person's email and you send out a blast rather than, calling or texting or sending them a direct email, anything like that. There's on the group email like, hey, I'm offering, these deals this month. So every 30 days, send them information. That can be articles, trade, journals, websites, whatever. And try to keep it a contact of all the times you've contacted someone. I used to keep it on a spreadsheet. Back when I was doing sales more efficiently. I kept it on a spreadsheet. My advice to you guys, keep it on a Google Docs, because then you can access it at work and you can access it on your phone. You can access it at home. I found that works really well for me. And honestly, that's about it. That's your 10 steps. So definitely be aware that you're going to have to be able to work the floor. You're going to have to meet members. You're going to try to do this whole selling thing. But hopefully after hearing all that, I don't know how many of you guys maybe had a negative a negative feeling about sales, but hopefully this has made you feel a little bit more comfortable about it. And hopefully it feels a little bit less daunting for some of you out there. But other than that, guys, that is actually all I've got for you today. Bit of a shorter one today. Any questions or comments?
No, but so for the resumes, because I don't really have a way to do it unless I figure out how to do it on my phone.
We'll do it tomorrow. No, we won't. We'll do it on Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it together. It's fine.
Okay, and you think being there in the morning or at night would be a better idea? We're all gonna do it together though, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we're gonna go through like a sales presentation, and then I'm gonna kind of break you guys off. I'm gonna I want to go through like a sales presentation. Then I want to put you guys in groups and have you go through a fitness assessment together so you can practice that stuff. And then certain people, I'm just gonna pull you, grab, take you up and work on the computer and, kind of work our way back and forth like that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Either way, everybody has a resume by the time we're done. I would love to see everyone's resume. If you can email them to me, for those of you who have made them, that's great, because then I can have it in my email and I can download it at Sochi and we can work on it there. That's also very helpful. But I'll walk you guys through all that tomorrow, and then we'll meet on Thursday.
Okay, perfect.
Cool. Any other questions, guys?
No.
All right.
Oh, good.
Love it. All right, guys, let's kill the share, kill the recording.